Hey, what is going on, you guys? Today's video, I want to talk about closed cases versus open air builds. Now, the reason and motivation behind me making this video today is because I wanted to cover the topic with my own perspective and add a little bit something else that I haven't heard other people talk about in the pre-existing videos right now that have already covered this topic. So with that being said, I also want to say that in my past uploads and projects that I've completed in regards to open air builds, they have typically attracted questions. Questions from people who have either not seen open air builds before or people who just straight up don't like open air builds and want to start a debate or argue. Now, I'm going to try and address as many of those things as possible and give as much context as possible and give as much information as I can in this video here. So, things like which one is better, or who is it for, the lifestyle, the thermals, the performance, the aesthetics, all of that stuff. So I will aim to cover as much of the scenarios as possible. Let's dive in. So the first point I want to tackle in this video is maintenance, cleaning, and dust. Because every time I do an open air build and post it, one of the common questions being asked is something like, does it get dusty? How dirty does it get? How do you clean it or maintain it? How do you put up with it? Well, the short answer to that is, generally speaking, an open air build like this is going to accumulate dust quicker than a closed case system. Obviously, because it doesn't have panels around it protecting it from that. However, I think that question and answer alone requires more context to highlight the bigger picture. So, for example, over the course of many years, I've had multiple systems in my house running at the same time. My office studio PCs, my personal rig, my gaming rig. So with that, I've had the opportunity to observe the amount of dust being accumulated on my open and closed case systems. And I can tell you that over the course of, let's say, for example, 4 months, and the same amount of dust that I would see accumulate on an open air case, I could see that same amount inside the closed case system over 6 months. So 2 month difference, it's not all that big of a deal to me. But I think what's more important is something that most people don't think about is the cleaning aspect of it. With an open air case, you can just take this outside, take a can of compressed air to it in all directions, and you're literally done cleaning it within 15 to 20 seconds. However, with a closed case system, you have to take off all the panels, the dust filters, clean those. You have to clean inside your case, the corners and crevices. You have to blow under the PSU shroud, clear your drives if you have them, and then you put back all of your panels and filters. So with that, there's more steps and it will take more time. And I think that this is one advantage of open air cases. They are easier to clean and faster. But with dust accumulation, that leads into the second point I want to cover in this video, which is your lifestyle. So we all live in different circumstances. Some people live in areas that are naturally more dusty than others, whether that be the climate, something that's going on outside, or it could be something that they have going on inside the house that's causing things to go up in the air and float around more often, or if they leave the windows open around their PC, things like that. There's a bunch of different factors. An easy one to talk about would be pets. Free roaming pets, cats, birds, rodents, things with fur. Yeah, they're gonna leave stuff around. They like to stick their paws in things. And especially when they don't know what a fan is. This is one area where a closed case would have an advantage in protecting your system. So another one would also be kids. If you have young toddlers, kids that like to touch things, throw things around, yeah, you might need some protection by getting a closed case. Then on the topic of aesthetics, like everything else that is subjective, but what I've observed is that the whole aesthetics of open air cases, it's kind of vibing towards the enthusiasts. It's like PC enthusiasts, hey, look at my hardware. I really like hardware. Check this out. And not to say that people who like closed cases don't like the aesthetics or are not enthusiasts, but even nowadays with closed cases, a lot of them are glass panels. They're like transparent boxes, you can see through them, you can still see everything inside. But I guess like the whole open air case thing kind of just takes it a little step further and just say, hey, look, no case whatsoever. This is just the guts of the PC. And I think that's kind of just where it's gearing towards. The next conversation I want to have has to do with handling and transportation. So basically, when it comes time to moving things around, you will generally have an easier time moving a closed PC case because it has panels and protection. However, when it comes to handling open air systems, you have to be aware of your case design and how to transport it and making sure that it is secure. So going back to the conversation about aesthetics, open air cases are mainly made to be showpieces to show off the hardware. Okay, now the next thing I want to talk about, and probably the last thing in this video, is going to be performance. Function, thermals, airflow, cooling, things like that. In this category, I do believe that open air cases actually have the greater or at least more advantages than closed cases because, for one, you don't have to worry about internal case pressure, and you also don't have to worry about mounting a bunch of different fans onto your case, which actually from a cost perspective is going to save you a lot of money from not having to buy case fans. The only thing that you have to worry about is getting enough airflow through your heatsink on, say, your CPU air cooler, if that's what you're using, or through the radiators of your all-in-one liquid coolers or your custom water cooling loop. So with that being said, I also know that the argument against it is going to be, well, what if you need airflow, directed airflow from your case fans onto the components of your build? Well, I'm also going to say that it is very rare for your system to shut down or heat up because you didn't have directed airflow from your case fans. For many, many years, I have ran my main rigs as open air, and I have not a single time have it shut down because I didn't have case fans directing airflow onto my components. So I will also say that if you are an extreme overclocker, I think that might be a situation where you might need directed airflow. Let's say, for example, for me, of the times I've ran my open air cases, I have always ran XMP on. I've always clocked in the CPU and GPU at the highest speed that they could safely, but at the same time, I'm also not trying to break records. So if you're someone who is trying to break records, okay, then you are someone who is kind of outside of that curve and you might need some extra airflow. But honestly, I think for the majority of people and builds out there, it's honestly not necessary. So in summary, open versus closed PC cases. One is not ultimately better than the other. One just provides a different type of solution over the other. That's it. So when you're choosing between the two, think about your lifestyle, think about your environment, think about how you want your PC to look, think about how you want it to run, how to clean it and all that stuff, and make your choice from there. So down in the comments, let me know which one you would choose and why. And also, if there is any type of scenario or situation or discussion about closed versus open air cases that I missed, let me know down in the comments below as well. So that's all I have for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Peace.